Okay friends, we are back for part 2 of our portrait drawing project. So last time we learned how to draw an eye, nice big eye, and this time we're going to be shrinking that down and putting that in proportion with the rest of the face. Remember, proportion means the size of all the parts that make up the whole in relation to each other. So the size of my eye in relation to the size of my nose, my mouth, the whole face, that's all in proportion. And like we said, everybody's faces are different. That's how we look different. But there are guidelines that we can follow to help us just, make it a little easier to draw a face, to draw a portrait. Quick review, a portrait is a drawing or a painting of a specific person or even an animal. Today we're going to focus on people. Maybe next time we can do some animal portraits. That would be fun. I have a friend who actually does that. I'll have to show you some of her work sometime. For now, I have everything that I need. I've got my paper. You definitely want a ruler. Anything with really something that will give you something you can measure with, or just give you a flat side to draw against. That's what rulers are for. Also grab your eye handout again, at least take a look at it, have it for reference when you do go to draw your eyes. And check out this handout. This is what we're going to be following. This is from the Oklahoma City Art Museum. Thank you so much for this free lesson from them based on Kehinde Wiley's portrait work. Definitely check out his work. I've sent you some links of his work as well. But this is going to help us follow and figure out the proportions that we're drawing. And I'll give you a few more hints as we go, and we'll just do our best, okay? Definitely want a pencil. We're going to sketch out some guidelines first, but don't sketch too dark, because then we're going to go over and erase those lines when we go in to draw some details. And you'll want things to color with. I would say for this project, colored pencils would be a really, really good option, but markers or crayons would be great too. And I think that we're ready. Okay, I'm gonna get set up so that you can see me draw. See you in a second. Okay, friends, we're back. So I've got my guide sheet here. And the first thing that I'm going to do is fold my paper in half twice. So you can start this way or this way, it doesn't matter, because you're going to fold it twice, so that means that you'll get a fold going either way. I'll fold it, what do we call this, hot dog style first. And now I'm going to fold it up the other way. All right, and do a crease. This way, when I open it up, I can see really easily where the center of my paper is, and I can smooth that back out. Okay. Now the first thing that I want to do is draw an oval, and I want a nice big oval that takes up most of my paper, but I'm going to leave a little bit of space at the bottom so that I can be sure that I can draw in like a little bit of a neck. So I'm going to put a line right here. That's about how far I want it to go down. And I really want this, though, the oval, the center of the oval to be the center of my paper. So I'm going to make sure it's about the same on the top too. And I can use my ruler if I want to measure it. About 1.25 inches, it's probably not quite right. Yeah, go down a little bit. Okay, ooh. Sorry about that, y'all. I'm probably gonna shake the phone a lot today. I'll try not to. So now, with this being the center of the oval, I'm gonna draw my oval. This way I can fit in my hair and my chin. And I'm gonna draw kind of light at first, so it might be kind of hard to see, but you can just follow my pencil with your eyes. But I don't want to draw super dark in the beginning because I want to make sure that I can erase the guidelines that I'm drawing, because we're gonna draw some guidelines to help us with our proportion. Okay. All right. Got my oval. Now, I'm going to use a ruler just because I want to have some really nice, clean, straight lines. But I could also just follow the lines that I've already folded into my paper, because now we want to draw guidelines. Line that goes through the middle, going up and down. of my oval and then going through the middle, side to side. Okay? These are some lines we're going to erase later. So, friends, the reason why we need this line to be in the very center of our oval, and again, we can use our ruler to double check and see. This is about 4 inches from that side and about 4 inches from that side. Awesome, so I've got this in the middle. Did you know that your eyes are actually in the middle of your head? A lot of times when we draw faces, we tend to put our eyes up too high because we don't really, because the hair that we have and just the way that we think about our faces, we're not really aware of the fact that the eyes are actually much further down and much more of a top of our head is taken up by our hairline and a forehead and then our eyes. So your eyes actually are going to go on this middle line that you've drawn. And here's another trick with your eyes. On a face, when we're looking at it on a flat piece of paper like this, the size of the eyes, the proportion, you should be able to fit 5 eyes across your face. That's how big your eyes should be. So what do I mean by that? I mean, and you just kind of have to guess and eyeball it. Eyeball it, get it? Sometimes. Good joke, huh? I usually start by drawing my eye shape in just the middle of the face, right? Like I'm gonna be a cyclops. And I drew my kind of football-y or lemon shape that's like an oval that kind of comes to more pointed ends. Think of a football or a lemon. And now from there, I'm trying to measure that. That's actually about 1 inch. And let's see what this is across. Okay, so this is a little over 6 inches. It's about 6.5 inches actually. So I could do math if I wanted to figure out what exactly size I should do with my eyes to make them fit perfectly, but I think instead of doing that, I'll just play with it a little bit. Make this a little bit bigger. And let's do that. That's about 1.5 inches. So now I'm going to mark about the same from there on one side, about 1.5 inches from the outside of that eye, and then 1.5 inches outside of the other eye. And then I should be able to I'd fit an eye right there. I'd fit an eye right there. Fit an eye right here. And right here. So not perfect, but pretty close. I also kind of drew this a little off, but that's okay. I did my best. So of the 5 eyes that I've drawn, obviously I would just keep these 2 and I can fix these and make them look a little bit more even. But right now I'm just figuring out my placement. That's all. I'm just figuring out where to put it down and not trying to make it look perfect yet. So since I know these are the only 2 eyes that I need, unless I wanted to draw a cyclops, which I definitely can, but for now, let's learn the proportions correctly so that then when you do go to draw, your really cool face with lots of different eyes in different places, you can kind of make it that much more believable, even if it is, a fantasy or imagination piece, because the proportions of your face are correct. And it tricks the eye into really seeing a human face when we get these proportions right. Okay, so I'm just going to fix that shape a little bit, try to make them look a little more even. When we did our eye project, we drew like the circle of the eye first, but as we practice that, we understand how the eye is built. We're gonna start with our eyelid shape, our lemon football. And I'll just kind of get that shape as best I can. Okay, so our next step is, some people like to do, this says do the eyebrows next. I'm gonna wait on the eyebrows. It's up to you, but I have a little trick that I like to use that I learned when I was a makeup artist on how to place your eyebrows, and that will be a little bonus material for you all. So I'm gonna skip to the nose. And what I need to do to draw the nose is I need to draw a line halfway down between the center line right here in the middle of this down to my chin, so down to the very bottom of my circle. And what I can do to make sure that I have that is I can either do my best and just guess, or I can measure it. So this is about 4 inches from the top to the middle, we said. So half of that would be 2. So I'm just gonna mark the 2, put a little line right there. Okay, friends, this is where your nose goes. Yeah, I know it seems like it's kind of far down, right? But this is the very bottom of your nose. So this is where we would draw the nostrils. Let me tell you, I almost dropped out of art school trying to draw noses. Noses are very hard to draw. Some people don't think so. Some people are really good at drawing noses. I'm not. It's about ready to give up on my dream of being an artist because I could not draw a nose. But here's an easy way to draw a nose. Draw some little tiny, small as you can, little ovals, kind of like the little lemons that we did for the eyes. And now just draw a little half circle, kind of a little half crescent moon on that side. Half crescent moon on this side. And here's the trick with your nose. This is how you know how big you should make your nose. I could actually, you know, everybody's nose is different. Some noses are bigger than others, but just as a guideline, I want my nostrils of my nose. They can come in a little bit, but I want them to line up pretty close to this line that's the inside line, that inside of my eyeball. So I can even draw a light little guideline there. So I could even make my nose a little bigger, maybe spaced apart a little bit more. And again, maybe this is a smaller nose. Maybe I wouldn't have had to do that, but it's okay. That is a nice thing too about drawing faces, is that since everybody's face is so different, it looks like somebody out there in the world. Okay, so you can see I'm the best nose drawer of all time. Not true, but that's okay. Little nose. I can kind of draw the little top of the nose. All right, not too shabby, not too shabby. My next guideline that I'm going to draw is my mouth. And the mouth is, well, the way you find the guideline for the mouth is a little tricky, but so I'm back at, this is the 2 mark, 2 inches. So I want a mark right in between the bottom of the nose, or where that mark was at the bottom of the chin, and that's 1 inch. And this is where the mouth goes. And again, everybody looks different. So you can kind of make this the very center. This says to put the very bottom of the lips right there, but I think you just play with it. I think you just kind of see. And again, your mouth might be just kind of start it like that. Just kind of draw the opening. And then you can build the lips around it. And when I think about lips, we have this little thing. And again, everybody's different, but it's a little part of your lip that dips down in the middle like that. It's called a Cupid's bow. And that lines up with the center of your nose. You can do kind of like a little V shape right there. And then the lips come up, it's almost like a really wide M. Like really, like if I took an M and I stretched it out, that's what it would look like. Got my top lip. Make that meet up with that line I drew across the middle. And the bottom lip is basically just kind of like a big arch. Yeah, like I drew like a U. If I took a U and I stretched my U out, the lips. And again, if I want to make sure, kind of figure out how big I want these to be, everybody's different. Everybody's face is going to look different. But a lot of times the size of the lips will also kind of line up with this line that we've drawn, this guideline. But again, everybody's different. Yours can be, you know, a little bigger, a little smaller. It's a guideline. It's a place to start. It's a place to start. All right, so we're doing really good on our face. The next thing that we're going to do is add the ears, because if I was just looking at somebody's face, let's see if I can make that a little thinner. If I was just looking at somebody's face straight on, I would, you know, unless their hair was totally covering them, I would be able to see the ears coming out. This is another thing that really always blew my mind when I first learned how to do this. A lot of times too, we think of our ears as much higher up than they really are, just like our eyes. But that's because the ears do line up with the eyes. The ears actually where they start, because you know everybody's ears kind of attach and then come up a little bit. Where they start, where they're attached to the top of the ears attached to the head, actually lines up with that same line as your eye. Boys and girls, take a moment, put your finger on your own face on the corner of your eye like that, and then try to drag it in a straight line towards the side of your head to where your ear is, and you'll find the start of your ear right there. Do it on both sides of your face. Now, again, everybody is different, but for the most part, the bottom of our ears, and that's just where the ears kind of reattach to the head, that actually lines up with that same line where we had our nose line. So you be sure you can keep all your lines for now so you can come back and find them easily. You don't have to erase anything yet. So I can do a little mark right there, and I've got my little mark right there. That's where my ears are. And the ears kind of disappear, so I can just kind of draw them coming out about right there and there. Not too shabby. Kind of make them go in a little bit more. And you might, this is a good time, maybe you want to look in a mirror and see, what do my ears look like when I just look at my face straight on like this? How much of them can I see? A little mark, I'll do my other side. Awesome. All right, so we have all these things, and now I'm going to show you this, a little bonus, how to figure out where your eyebrows go. You ready? So take your ruler and put it on the line that we've been using that starts on the inside of the eye, yeah, and lines up to the nose, that outside of the nostril, and almost kind of the outside of the mouth. And just go up a little bit. You know, again, everybody's brows are different, everybody's face structure is different, but maybe, you know, not even up halfway. I know this looks like a funny head right now, but we're gonna fix it. I'm just gonna go up a little bit, and I'm gonna do a mark. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Make sure it's about the same place. You can see this mouth is a little bit over to the side, but again, that's okay. That's how our faces look. Okay, so got a little mark there. So this will be the beginning of my eyebrow, and it looks like I didn't quite get that level, but okay, like that, great. Now take your ruler and you're gonna put it on the side of your nose, on the nostril like that, and kind of turn it at an angle, okay? And it should go across the mouth and then like through the center of the chin. See how I put it at an angle right here, so then it goes through that middle part right where the chin is, through the middle of the face. And then about the same level that you put this mark, just maybe up a little bit, put another little mark. Do that on this side. Line it up with my nostril, the outside of the nostril, and then right at the center of the chin. A little off on that side, but it's okay. Okay, one more mark and then we'll draw on our eyebrows. Now you're going to run it from the outside of your eye, so I'm going to be about the outside of my eyelid shape, to the outside of my nostril. Another little mark. Outside of the eye, outside of the nostril, a little mark. And from here, you can use these to draw, kind of follow in the shape of your brows. The brows are an arc. They're like another, kind of like I took a U and opened it up a whole lot. So just like a big curve, like not very curvy C shape. I don't know, it helps me to think of letters when I'm figuring out how to draw things, to relate them to something I'm already used to. And then I could make my eyebrows thicker, because most of us have kind of thicker eyebrows, but I can also kind of wait until I'm adding in all the rest of my details to do this too. I just like to shape my eyebrows a little bit more. Awesome. And now I'm ready to erase all these guidelines I don't need. and to add in some detail. So what you might want to do is you could even go back over the lines you know you want to keep and make those really dark with your pencil. So you can really see the lines that you want. And you can see I have lots of kind of little lines where I've tried to draw something and then drew something over it. And if you want to go over these things in pen too, you can. So it makes it a little easier to erase, but I'm just going to do my best to be careful and erase around the lines I want to keep. Erasing. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time erasing. You can keep this line of the head because that does show. And we can kind of cover it up with hair. But you'll want to spend some time really getting all your guidelines off and making it look nice and clean. And remember, if I erase something I need, I can just go back in and redraw it. Okay. So now we'll just do kind of a quick refresher, looking at our eyes and our different eye options. What I've drawn, it looks a lot like the little round, the round shaped eyes to me. So I can try to make that look a little bit more like an eye. And just follow what I see on here and add in the tear ducts. It's a little too much lines right here. Add in my tear ducts. Okay, now I want to draw the iris. Remember, this is the iris of my eye, and I can draw little tear duct sides out there too. And this one I can see all of the iris. These are really big open eyes, so I can see a lot more of it than somebody like me who has really deep set eyes and you can't see them as much. But this can be a self-portrait. It doesn't have to be. You can make the eyes a little bit bigger if you want to, just because they're fun to draw. I really like drawing eyes, and it's a fun exercise to draw nice big eyes. I'm going to draw my pupils in the middle. The pupils are the black parts that open up and close depending on how much light they need. Yeah, now I can draw. See, I've got to draw that little line, so I know that I've got an eyelid right here. It's that little bit of skin. Yeah, color this in if I want to. I can wait until I get my colors out to do this. Make that a little darker. Awesome, and now you can go in and do, I think probably my favorite part is the lashes, but I think first I'm going to kind of add a lash line. So I just draw a thin line underneath from side to side, kind of like an underneath eyelid, and I can draw another line to look like the eyelid. And if you remember from when we practiced our eyes last time, we are going to do kind of our little check mark shapes. We're kind of going like that. I'm drawing a check mark. And I want to try to come from underneath the lash line. And I'm not going to start right on top of like the eyelid or like right on the line and just draw a line like that, because that's not what eyelashes are actually doing. They're growing from on, like kind of in your lash line, and then they curl up, right? So another thing you want to think about is the middle of my eyeball. Kind of find the middle of that. You can draw a little line if that helps you. This, because the eyeball is curved, now when I draw on a flat piece of paper, I have to kind of give the illusion that it's curved, that it's three-dimensional. So the way that I can do that is the way that the lashes will move across the eye, they'll change. If you look at one, like this is a good one. You see this one, friends? They're kind of going off to the side on that side of the eye, and then they go up more in the middle. And then as you go to the other side, you have to make them kind of curve around that way. That's showing the curvature of the eye, and it's kind of a little optical illusion. So I always start in the middle, and I will kind of do one that kind of just only has a little bit of a curve to it right in the middle, or off to the side of the middle. And then next to those, so I'm starting right on that line, and then I draw my little check mark. And you can't see because that line is dark, but this is what I'm doing. So it's like I draw a little bit of line, and then I do a check mark. And it took me a lot of practice to get comfortable with eyelashes. And maybe you don't want your person to have big eyelashes. That's okay. So now I'm going the other way. So think this way to go out, and this way to go to the middle. But if you wanted something, we'll do something a little different on this side, just so you all can see. Do my little hash marks, halfway mark. I could do much smaller lashes too. They don't have to be very prominent, but eyelashes, I think, make the face look very human. Even if they're not big lashes, they certainly don't have to be. And on the bottom, we're doing the same thing. There's also that same curvature of the eye. The bottom lashes are usually not as heavy as the top lashes, so if it helps, you can also flip your paper over. Okay, flip it upside down and do it that way. Just make them a little bit smaller. That way you're still drawing that same direction with your check mark. Okay, let's remove the additional eyelashes growing out of her forehead. Okay, so we've got that. So now, friends, I can go in and do things like add the hair and decide, what color of hair that I want to have. I can go in and color in the eyes, I can color in the lips, I can find what I want my flesh tone color to be. Might even take a look at your chin. Take a look at your own chin. Make sure you all can see. Because this is just a guideline, but most people have a little bit more of a chin than this. So I'm going to draw kind of right, I can use the outside of the lips as a guide. I'm just going to draw, again, like a little bit of a curved line. Right there, I can erase that and see what I think. Yeah, and some people's chin is less pronounced than others. That means, some people just have bigger chins than others. That's great. That's what makes us all look different and interesting. And now, I don't want to be just a head floating in space. A floating head is a fled. But I want a neck. So I can look at my sheet, and it's going to show me the neck is just 2 lines that are going to come out of the chin. But again, we often give ourselves too thin a necks. So the guideline that you use for your neck is actually the eyes too. You can go in a little bit. If you have really nice big eyes, you might need to make them a little bit, go in a little bit from them. Just draw 2 lines that line up with that going down. And then most of us, though, don't actually have very, very, very long straight necks, because if you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll see that your neck isn't super long until it hits your collarbone. And then your collarbone and your shoulders go out like this. So from here, I'm actually going to curve my line out a little bit, and then it starts to look more like a real neck. I'm going to erase these extra lines. Looking a little bit more like a person, but now what do we do with this giant head up here? This is where my hair goes. So I can decide what kind of hairstyle I want, but no matter what, the hairline actually starts about here. So almost like if I were to measure, let's just measure it. We've got a ruler from about where the eyebrows are up. That's about 3 inches. So I'm gonna go, half of 3 inches is 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna go 1.5 inches up, about halfway between those. That's about where my hairline starts. That means that's like where my scalp is. So I have bangs now, so I'm going to just draw in some lines for some hair. And then when I color it, I could make it look a little bit more like hair. But this is just gonna give me some guidelines. Okay, and then remember, you usually can see at least some hair, unless you have all of this, you know, shaved right here. A little hair coming down. Maybe you want hair coming down across your ears. Check out the mirror. See what your hair does. Okay, so this would be where my hair would go, and I can even just kind of draw a guideline for that too. It's starting to look a little bit more like a face, I think. And now I could also, since it's mostly me, mostly based on me, if not me perfectly, I could draw glasses. And everybody's glasses are different. I can kind of give myself a little more of a nose. I think this is about what my glasses look like. And I don't have my mirror today, so I'm kind of doing it from memory. But you know Miss Morgan usually has on her glasses. And they kind of are round at the bottom and more square at the top. And my glasses do cover up my eyebrows a little bit. My glasses in real life. And I can even take my glasses off and look at them. Oh, that's what they look like. And I can draw the tabs that go out to my ears, right? And the part that goes over my nose, like that. Okay. So I've got all my pencil line drawing done. I can go in and make things darker. I can add my color. When I do my eyebrows and my hair, I can do kind of strokes like that. You might want to go back and watch the video about texture and ways to draw texture with our hatching and cross hatching. But I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna color. Sorry about that, friends. My video got cut off. I didn't realize it, but we are all done drawing. And stay tuned for the next lesson where I show you how to color in your portrait like this, okay? That's coming up in part 2. See you soon. Bye-bye.